Hello and welcome to the channel. In the last video I talked a little bit about how I like to handle JavaScript when working with Blazor components. In this video I will talk about how I approach SASS when working with Blazor components. Originally I was going to use this NuGet package called libsass builder made by Johan VR, but since the official libsass has been deprecated, Johan has decided to deprecate this package as well. Instead, I will be using its replacement .sass builder by Dean Weissman. .sass builder works the exact same way as far as I can tell. It is only the underlying SASS compiler that has been updated to use the dot compiler instead. So the way it works is that if you create a SCSS file in your Blazor project, then when the project is built, that SASS will be compiled into CSS file with the same name. This means that it can be used for both standalone CSS and for scoped CSS, and the output will become part of the CSS tools that come out of the box with Blazor. This also means that we don't have to deal with installing SASS via, for example, npm or some other JavaScript-based CDN. We can keep the entire development environment .NET-ish, and I personally really appreciate that. I have not had the need to test if every single SASS feature is supported, but I'm fairly sure they are. In this example, I will be using features from the Learn SASS page on the SASS website. These features are variables, nesting, partial and modules, mix-ins, extend, and operators. As you can see, we have a partial with color variables and a partial with mix-ins. These partials are then imported as a module. In the component CSS, we can then include the mix-ins and pass the color variables. We can also create extensions that can then be inherited. And finally, we can use the math.div operator to calculate the width. If we run the project, we can now see that our component has been styled. So, is there any drawbacks to using this package? And the answer is yes, there is a few drawbacks. The biggest downside is that because the CSS compilation is done as part of the build process, this approach does not support hot reload, so that will probably be a deal breaker for some people. For me personally, it is not a big deal since I'm not in the habit of using the hot reload functionality anyway. I usually use the developer console in the browser to find the correct CSS values. Another potential deal breaker is that Visual Studio does not recognize the @use command, so it generates an unknown warning that is very annoying, but it does not seem like it causes issues if you're using treat warnings as errors, but maybe I have just been lucky about that. The third downside is that if a CSS file with the output name does not exist when the project is being built, then .sass builder will generate the file, but the generated CSS will not be included in that particular build. However, once the file does exist, this is not a problem. The CSS will be included in the build just fine. These are really the only issues I have experienced. And like everything else in this field, you will have to make a judgment call if the pros outweighs the cons. But for me personally, the upsides far outweighs the downsides. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to do the like and subscribe thing, and maybe even leave a comment with your feedback. And I hope to see you again soon.